Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are diving into the Veronica Aguilar story. Just came out this last week. Unbelievable. Some of the things that can occur in a person's life, because what happens when we trust the wrong person? Well, here is another moment of not trusting the right person. You see, firefighters, they were called to an LA house, what was said to be a house fire. When they get there, they open up its garage to find the body of a young school teacher stuffed in the trunk of a burned out car. And so we're going to be diving into what we know, because police, they did open a murder investigation into this. Then they were hunting for the house's owner after this grisly discovery in Quartz Hill on Wednesday morning of last week. And so we're going to dive into what we know, because they did identify the woman as a 27-year-old teacher at an elementary school in nearby Palmdale. And let me tell you, what people are sharing about this wonderful teacher, you can tell at 27 years old, she left her mark. And to see that it was tragically taken away from her for no good reason, especially by someone who was already out on bail for a very heinous crime against another female. And so we're going to dive into what we know at this time. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. The woman has been identified as the 27-year-old Veronica Aguilar, and her life was taken tragically way too young. And so neighbors have shared that around 2 a.m. in the morning, one person said, "I heard a blood-curdling scream." And they shared, number one, they wanted to stay anonymous because this is a scary case. And the neighbor said, "I had just opened my window after I was finished with some work. And when I went to go check, I didn't hear it anymore." That's what, before you know it, there's a house fire. And so in this house fire is when the unthinkable would be discovered. You see, neighbors on the 41400 block said that Matthew, the owner of this home, Switalski, 37 years old, a Bible school graduate who works as a cost controller at aerospace company Northrop Grumman, had a pretty good job. He had a lot going for himself on the outside looking in, but inside he was dealing with some ugly stuff that would make him do the unthinkable. And through this, we find out that he was renting out several rooms in the 5-bedroom home to company employees, none of whom appear to be at home at the time of the fire. And so when they started to put out this fire, that's when it's like, okay, what led everything there? Well, witnesses recalled hearing an explosion at the house. And firefighters, they arrived around 8:20 in the morning, taking an hour to bring the blaze under control because it was a big fire in the garage. And so as the location firemen were clearing the garage, they found a body. Then they notified the deputies, and the person was pronounced dead on the scene. And so Lieutenant Daniel Vizcarra, he's the one that gave the update about the firemen locating him. And as you can see in the trunk of this vehicle, we can know what is going on there. And so a man who said he was the victim's uncle described her as a quiet person. And they told CBS that the school where she worked had called the family when she did not turn up to work yesterday morning. And so both of them, the victim and the owner of the home, they actually were said to have had a relationship for about a year, while neighbors told others that her boyfriend owned the property. This is the boyfriend, former boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, not too sure. Matthew Switalski, 37 years old. And so they had a relationship. Firefighters, they used a circular drill in order to get in. And so they used this circular drill to access the car. And then that's when, they're like, okay, this one's badly beaten. There was another badly damaged car that was parked right next to it. And so, of course, they're going to look into that too. Police said that neither the owner or any of the residents had yet come forward at the time. And so when this occurred, no one heard from any of the people that were residing there, renting any of the places out. But they also didn't hear from the owner, Matthew himself. And so they were trying to get a hold of him. They were reaching out to him, and he was not returning anything. And so even media outlets tried reaching out to the owner of the home, Matthew Switalski. And so people are trying to get some information. The neighbor that was next door said it's very unsettling to know that it's down the street. Yes, that something like this can happen right up the road. And so everyone was trying to find out, like, what's going on over here? But they would find out that, hey, this Matthew is an accountant for a top defense contractor. He is now charged with the murder of the teacher that was found stuffed in a burned out car. Matthew Switalski, he was reportedly living with his alleged victim, Veronica Aguilar, in the home where her charred remains were discovered in the garage last Wednesday. And so neighbors, again, they said that they were awoken in the middle of the night to blood-curdling screams that were coming from this home in Quartz Hill, which is a neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. And so it didn't take long before he was arrested on Thursday night in Kern County, and he was charged with her murder. Now, we also find out that he's been employed with this place for quite some time. And it's an actual pretty good job. But it wasn't good enough to him not want to do the unthinkable. And so here is the place that he worked for Northrop Grumman. And you can see their legacy of pioneering tech to protect the war fighters. This is a pretty big deal of a job. And so, he worked there. And so this place is the weapons manufacturer. And he was employed as a cost and schedule controller for weapons, right? This is what they did. They focused on weapons. Now, he worked for them until May. You see, he would leave shortly before he was freed on a $600 bail, $600,000 bail for several RAPE charges. And so if they had never let him out, he would be here today. My question is, how much did she know and believe? Did maybe this lead to her demise because she knew more than she was supposed? We don't really know all of this. But Matthew Switalski, he was quickly named as a person of interest in this investigation last week. And so because, this is the home where her remains were found and it's listed in his name. And so firefighters, of course, they race to that scene at 8:20 after they find out that there's an explosion. And when they arrive there, the garage is engulfed in flames. Okay. And so in there, they're like, we want to dig deep. They start opening up cars. So once they were done battling through the blaze, crews were seen using a large circular saw in order to cut their way through inside the trunk of the vehicle. And that's when she was discovered. Now, as of this time, her official cause of death has not been determined. Or if it is, we don't know about it yet. Who knows? I'll probably get off here and then hear more about it. But one neighbor said that, he himself, multiple outlets have reported them hearing blood-curdling scream. but did not hear the sound again when they went to see what the heck is going on. A little fear was like, okay, let's see if I hear it again. I'm gonna continue working. And then when they go, they're like, okay, I don't hear anything. Then boom, that's when there's an explosion. And so Aguilar's family, they started to know that something was up when she did not show up for work, because people rant and rave about this wonderful, wonderful lady. I mean, you can go on and on with the different things that people are saying about this wonderful girl. So I was looking through the GoFundMe, and I'll share with you some of that. I was looking through the GoFundMe, and I saw how it's like, wow, the different things. You can even see this one here. This was from the GoFundMe. She was the sweetest teacher in the world. We were blessed to have her in our lives. My daughter loved her so much and see her as a royal model to be a teacher like her in the future. You touched the life of Megan in so many ways. You will always be in our hearts. Miss Aguilar, thank you for every smile, every moment we shared together. Your kindness and love for your students. You were the sweetest teacher ever. That is how they described her. That is the type of person that she was. And, when you stop and you think, it's like, why would anyone want to do this? But as we know, this is the crazy world that we live in. But let's look through this GoFundMe a little more. So, this is the type of person that she was. She was loved. This was organized by her brother, Juan Aguilar. He says, my little sister Veronica was taken from us on December 20th, 2023. Her story is all over the news of her brutal death. Things will never be the same ever again. We miss her so much. She had the best spirit. She always had a smile. My family is heartbroken. And one of the things that is proof of who this girl was and the mark that she left in people's lives. They were trying to raise $20,000. They have already surpassed that. And I can tell you, when I looked at this GoFundMe this morning, there's been another donation since. That's the type of person that Veronica Aguilar was. She was a teacher who was loved by so many. So we're sorry for your loss. A lot of people coming out, always with a positive attitude, a shiny smile, and eager to keep going forward. My heart is broken. She was the sweetest teacher in the world. That's what I shared with you already. She was a good friend. I wish her family all the best. Losing a sister is one of life's biggest challenges. My heart is shattered for her family. And our small, tight-knit Ana Verde school. I had the pleasure of being an aide in her classroom. She was always so kind and loved her kiddos a lot. A truly wonderful teacher. These are the type of comments. Another person said, children learn more from you, who you are, than what you teach. And they say, Miss Aguilar, you have forever made a profound impact in my son's life. That's what the parents have come to find, that look at the impact she had in their own children's lives. My friends, there is something to be said about that. That is who she was. That is who she was, however you want to refer to it. But she was taken from this world way too soon. And right here, I had the pleasure to meet Miss Aguilar last year, as she was my daughter's second grade teacher. She was very sweet and pleasant. Another one, she was a wonderful teacher. My friends, I do a lot of these stories, and I open up a lot of these GoFundMes to see what what the story is a little behind it, as I'm seeking the story, right? This is one of those that people, you can tell they appreciate who she is. And it's not, granted, they're posting anonymous, but these are probably local people. These are the people who knew her. The community has shared that they are in shock of what has occurred to little Veronica, or should I say to Veronica. And, one woman even wrote on the page that my heart is broken. She was the sweetest teacher, as I shared with you. And, when you think about it, it's like, why would someone do this to her? You know, she was an elementary school teacher, UCLA graduate, known for her vibrant personality and dedication to education. You know, she, at this young age, she already made an immeasurable difference in the lives of many students, as you can hear, because they're literally sharing what she did. Now, this is still an ongoing investigation. We don't really know much other than she was found burnt in a car trunk. And outside of that, we're going to continue to find out more. But why did this guy do this? And why was he out on bail for something else? You know, we don't know why she was with him, knowing what he had up against him. Maybe, hey, everyone deserves their day. He'll get his day. I believe. We don't really know. This is still a developing story. But he was a defense contractor in connection, in connection to weapons sales. This guy knew his stuff. He had a lot going for him, but he let something get the better of him. And so it did not take long before they were looking for this person of interest. My friends, it's stories like this because she deserves a voice. Veronica Aguilar was taken from this world way too soon. Rest in peace, Veronica. If you are a person of prayer, please keep it in your heart to pray for the family. Pray that they get justice. Pray that they find some peace in this tragic story. Because now that we know that, wow, the man they were looking for that owned this home turns out to be first person of interest and now arrested in jail on $10 million bond. That dude is going nowhere. And so court records, they do show that he was facing other things. Literally, this guy already had a lot of problems. And so court records show that. It did not take a genius to see that this guy has some problems. Literally. And so court records that were reported by the LA Times revealed that Matthew Switalski, he faced charges of rape and sexual misconduct in the spring of 2023 against an unnamed romantic partner, like an ex. And he looks to either have been divorced, going through divorce, not really too sure. But I did see an engagement announcement for like 2011. So if it ever happened, I don't really know. But after his arraignment in June, he was released on $600,000 bond on bail. And so, this guy, he's a Bible school graduate. What went wrong with him? I know Christians, we could be messed up in all our own ways. I agree. But Bible school graduate to murderer doesn't really happen quite often. But he even rented out rooms in his 5-bedroom home to other Northrop Grumman employees. And that's what neighbors were saying. But again, no one was there when they were putting out the fire. And so we don't really know much outside of that. According to his LinkedIn profile, he graduated from Calvary Chapel Bible College in 2006, where he served as a worship leader. And so now he's on a $10 million bond. And so this elementary school teacher, she had her life taken from this world way too soon. And now we wait to find out what more will we find out in the death of Veronica Aguilar, taken from this world way too soon. Veronica, rest in peace. I hope the family finds some solace. Please, if you're a person of prayer, pray that they find some peace in their world. They can get some justice. They can get some answers. They'll never be able to get their loved one back. The best they can get is they get this solved and find a way to move her memory forward, because this girl was well loved in her school system. They loved her dearly. She didn't deserve this. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. My friends, my whole goal is to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in, because truth is, in a matter of minutes, it could change that fast. And that's why I want to be a voice for not only the victims, but a voice for you to keep you aware of this is what could happen. This exact thing is what can happen. And that's why single females, I hear them making comments, I don't want to trust any guys because of stories like this. This is probably what attracts them so much to true crime, because to me, I've covered, I don't know, over 500 of these stories, almost 600 of these stories probably now. And it still feels like a surreal moment, like, wow, 1 minute they're here, the next minute they're not. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez, and this has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Hey, again, if you are a person of prayer, please pray that the family gets justice. Peace.